At my sister's wedding, a spotlight suddenly shined on me and my son. She laughed into the crowd and mocked. He doesn't even look like his father. My son asked, "Should I tell them, Mom?" I nodded. Go ahead. He grabbed the mic. My dad is the groom. The bride's face cracked. The guests screamed. My name's Candace, and if someone had told me 5 years ago that I'd be front row to the most humiliating and twisted wedding spectacle this side of the Mississippi, I'd have laughed them out the door. But life's funny that way, unfolding in ways you don't expect, smacking you with truths you thought you buried, then handing you a mic and daring you to speak. It all blew up at my sister's wedding. But that mess started long before the white dress and the champagne. I'm 42, live in the outer suburbs of St. Louis, and I've worked as a dental hygienist longer than I care to admit. I'm a mom to an 11-year-old boy, Benny. Smart kid, big heart, old soul. He's the kind of kid who asks questions adults don't have the guts to answer. And for most of his life, I've done my best to protect him. From pain. From confusion. From the truth. Especially the truth. Back then, I didn't have many people. I had Benny. I had work. And I had Talia, my younger sister, who I practically raised when our mom went back to nursing school and our dad spiraled into his second bottle of gin every night. Talia was the golden child. Always had been. Blonde hair, high cheekbones, the kind of girl who never walked into a room. She arrived. People noticed her. She got by on charm and looks. Never had to try too hard. I wasn't jealous. Not exactly. I was the older one. The one who handled things. Paid bills. Bought groceries. Covered for our dad when the neighbors complained. But even back then I noticed it. The way Talia always seemed to want what I had. Even when it wasn't much. She was just 19 when I met Mason. He came into the dental office needing a root canal. Tall, rugged, that sun-baked skin you get from working outside. Owned his own landscaping company. Wore worn-out boots and a grin that made the receptionist spill coffee on her keyboard. He was 6 years older than me. Confidence. Laughed with his whole chest. He made me feel like I was the only one in the room. And like in a holy, I fell hard. We dated for a year before moving in together. A year after that, Benny came along. I thought we were building something real. We had our issues, sure. Mason worked long hours, came home late smelling like aftershave I didn't recognize. He'd say I was being paranoid, that I was overthinking. I wanted to believe him. I wanted to hold it together for Benny. And then one morning, he was gone. No fight. No warning. Just gone. Clothes missing. Phone disconnected. Bank account drained. I didn't hear from him for years. I raised Benny alone. Told him his dad had to go away for work and never came back. Eventually, I stopped sugarcoating it. He asked me once, "Did he love you?" I didn't answer. What could I say? Then last year, I got a call from Talia. She was breathless excited. "I'm getting married," she squealed. I smiled, genuinely happy for her. "That's great tea. What's his name?" "Mason," she said. I dropped my coffee. "What?" I tried to keep my voice light. "Yeah, weird coincidence, right?" She laughed. "He's older than me, 39, but he's amazing. Owns his own business, really great with kids. I think you'll love him." I forced a smile she couldn't see. Huh. Small world. She said she'd send a picture. She never did. And something in my gut twisted. I told myself I was being paranoid. That there had to be hundreds of Masons in Missouri. Right. I kept that doubt quiet. Didn't tell Benny. Didn't even tell my best friend, Marla. I just waited. Then came the rehearsal dinner. It was at some overpriced venue in Chesterfield. Real fancy. White linens, floating candles, a bartender who knew how to make a Manhattan without asking what was in it. Benny and I walked in late. I was adjusting his little toe when I looked up and saw him. Mason. Older, sure. But the same crooked smile. Same arrogant posture. Same man who kissed me goodnight and vanished 5 years ago. My heart stopped. He turned and saw me. And froze. I grabbed Benny's hand so hard he winced. "Mom." I'm fine, sweetheart. Go say hi to your aunt." Mason walked toward me slow, like he couldn't believe I was real. "Candace," he said. His voice was lower than I remembered. "I didn't know you were." "Don't," I snapped under my breath. "Not here." Talia came bounding over, all dimples and gloss. "You two know each other," she giggled. I blinked. How do you answer that? I glanced at Mason. He was pale. "Yeah," I said. "Small world." Talia laughed and went off to mingle, completely oblivious. That night, Mason texted me. "Mason, please. Let me explain. I didn't plan this." I didn't answer. I couldn't sleep. I sat on the floor of my bedroom while Benny snored softly in the next room, thinking about how I was going to get through the next 24 hours. I couldn't tell Talia. Not yet. Part of me wanted to believe he'd tell her. That he'd confess, take the hit, do the right thing. He didn't. The next morning, Talia called, chirpy as ever. You know what's crazy? Mason said he remembers you from somewhere. Isn't that funny? Yeah, I said. Really funny. The ceremony was beautiful. Sickeningly beautiful. Talia wore this lace-covered mermaid gown that hugged every curve. Her makeup was perfect. I sat in the fourth row with Benny, watching Mason slide a ring onto her finger with the same hands that used to cradle our baby. I felt like I was floating. Or drowning. Or both. The reception was worse. Champagne flowing. Laughter echoing off the walls. Speeches about love and forever and soulmates. And then, after the cake, Talia grabbed the mic. She was tipsy. Giddy. Her cheeks pink with wine and attention. I just want to say, she slurred, grinning, that I'm so happy tonight. And also, oh my god, can we talk about how cute my nephew is? She pointed toward our table. Look at him. But seriously, doesn't he not look like his dad? Some of the guests chuckled. Benny looked up at me. Come. Seriously. Should I tell them, Mom? My heart cracked. I nodded. Go ahead. He stood, straightened his little jacket, walked up to the mic like he was born for it. My dad, he said loud and clear, is the groom. Silence. Dead. Suffocating silence. Talia blinked, like she didn't understand the words. What? She asked, laughing nervously. Benny repeated himself. My dad is the groom. Mason stood up fast. Candace, what the hell is this? I didn't move. Guests started murmuring. Someone gasped. Another person stood and said, Wait, is this for real? Talia looked at me. Her lip trembled. Candy, what is he talking about? I stood. You never asked where he came from, Talia. You just saw something shiny and grabbed it. Mason stepped forward. This isn't the time or place. It's exactly the time, I said. Then the screaming started. Talia sobbed. Guests shouted. Mason tried to talk, but no one listened. Someone in the back yelled, This is insane, and people started grabbing their coats. I walked up to Benny and took his hand. You okay? I asked. He nodded. I just wanted them to know. The moment we walked out of that reception hall, the cool night air slapped me in the face like a truth I couldn't unhear. My heels clicked against the pavement in a rhythm that matched the thump in my chest. Benny walked beside me, his hand still gripping mine, tighter than usual. You sure you're okay? I asked again, more to convince myself than him. He nodded. Yeah. I didn't like when she laughed. I glanced down. Me neither, baby. We got into my car without another word. The second I turned the key in the ignition, my phone buzzed, over and over. Messages. Missed calls. The screen lit up like a fire alarm. First one was from Talia. How could you do this to me? Then Mason, we need to talk. You had no right. I silenced the phone and tossed it in the passenger seat. The days that followed were a blur. Like I was watching someone else's life from the outside. Everything that had been boiling for years had finally exploded. And now I was supposed to pick up the shards. Only, I didn't want to. I went to work Monday morning like nothing happened. Scraped plaque off teeth, smiled politely at patients, and pretended my face wasn't plastered all over half the town's gossip circles. By lunch, Marla, the receptionist and my best friend for over a decade, cornered me behind the break room fridge. Okay, Spill, she said, arms crossed, eyes wide. Did your son really out Mason at your sister's wedding? I blinked. You heard about that already? She scoffed. Girl, my cousin was there. Said people were crying, screaming. Someone slipped on a canopy and broke an ankle. What the hell happened? I sighed. It's all true. Talia was marrying my ex. The one who disappeared when Benny was a baby. Marla's jaw dropped. That Mason. Yep. Oh. My. God. She sat down hard in the break room chair. And he didn't tell her? Or you? Didn't tell either of us. Just popped back into our lives like a damn ghost in a tux. Damn, Candy. I nodded. Yeah. Damn is right. Talia called 3 times that week. I didn't pick up. She tried texting, too. Some messages angry, some desperate, some that were just pictures of the two of us as kids. One afternoon, Benny was doing homework at the kitchen table when my phone buzzed again. This time it was a voicemail. I let it go like I had the others, but Benny looked up. Was it her? Yeah. He hesitated. You're not going to call her back? I sat down across from him. She knew Benny. Or she should have known. That's the part that hurts. Do you think she did it on purpose? That was the thing, wasn't it? I didn't know. Talia wasn't evil. Selfish, maybe. Blind to anything outside her little bubble, sure. But marry my ex-husband without recognizing him? That would require a level of ignorance I wasn't sure even she could pull off. She always wanted what I had, I muttered. Benny frowned. Why? You never had much. I smiled sadly. Exactly. Friday night, I found Mason waiting outside the clinic. He leaned against his truck, hands in his pockets, looking like the same bastard who used to pick me up for burgers and beer on Friday nights 10 years ago. I kept walking, but he fell in step beside me. Just give me 5 minutes. I don't owe you anything. I know, he said. But Benny does. That stopped me. I turned slowly. Don't you dare use him to justify anything. He held up his hands. Look, I was a coward. I ran. You know that. I panicked. I didn't know how to be a dad. And now you do? I snapped. Because you showed up in a suit and promised my sister a Pinterest wedding? His jaw tightened. I never meant to hurt you. You left Mason. You didn't just hurt me, you disappeared. You made me explain to our son why his father vanished like a thief. He looked away. I didn't plan any of this. I didn't even recognize Talia at first. She said she had an older sister, but you changed your last name after we split. Don't even try it, I hissed. You knew. Maybe not the first week. But eventually, you knew. And you stayed anyway. I thought if I told her, she'd leave me. I was broke. Alone. I thought I could start over. So you started over by marrying my sister? He swallowed. I didn't plan it. I stared at him. You said that already. Silence stretched between us. Finally, he said, I want to be in Benny's life. I laughed. Now you do. I'm his father. You were his father when he had the flu at age 3 and cried for you all night. You were his father when he got lost in the grocery store and said, it's okay, my dad will find me. You were his father every birthday he blew out candles and made a wish for someone who never showed. He looked down. You don't get to show up now and act like that means something. He nodded slowly, hands clenched at his sides. Okay. I deserve that. I turned to go. I'm not giving up, he called out behind me. I didn't look back. Later that night, Benny asked me, is he going to be around now? I paused. I don't know. Do you want him to be? I couldn't answer that one either. 2 weeks passed. The phone stopped ringing. Talia had gone radio silent. Mom called a few times, mostly to sigh dramatically and say things like, I just wish you girls could work it out. Dad didn't call at all. He never did. But then Benny came home from school with a note. He handed it to me in silence, then went to his room. It was from Talia. Candy, can we meet? Just the two of us. No, Mason. I need to say something. Please. I sat with the letter in my lap for a long time, staring at her handwriting, trying to decide if I even had the energy for whatever came next. I didn't answer her right away. I left the note on the kitchen counter for 3 days, read it every time I walked past, then folded it neatly and stuffed it into the junk drawer like it was a receipt I wasn't sure I'd need. But eventually, curiosity started gnawing at the edges of my silence. What did she want to say? Why now? It was a Tuesday afternoon when I finally texted her. Meet tomorrow. 6 p.m. DeMarcos. Just you. She replied a few minutes later. Talia, I'll be there. Thank you. DeMarcos was one of those quiet places with red vinyl booths and photos of Sinatra on the walls. We used to come here as kids on our birthday nights when Dad wasn't too drunk to drive. Back then, it felt fancy. Now it just feels tired. I got there early, ordered a black coffee, and sat in a booth near the back. Talia showed up right on time, wearing oversized sunglasses and a look that screamed, don't talk to me unless you're handing me wine or an apology. She slid into the booth across from me, peeled off her sunglasses, and sat there silent for a long moment. You look tired, I said finally. She let out a bitter little laugh. I haven't slept since the wedding. Maybe try not marrying your sister's ex next time. Her mouth twisted. I didn't know, Candace. Don't, I said, holding up a hand. I need you to really think about that sentence before you say it again. She looked down at her hands. Her nails were chipped. Her ring was gone. I swear I didn't know it was him at first. He told me he had a son, yeah. That he had a past. But he never said your name. Never showed me pictures. I leaned back, arms crossed. You didn't recognize the father of my child? The man who came to Christmas dinner 2 years in a row. Her voice cracked. It was a long time ago, Candy. Not that long. The waitress came by and we both shook our heads. Not hungry. Not in the mood. Talia wiped her eyes with a crumpled napkin. I was stupid. I should have asked more questions. I should have seen it. The way he acted when you showed up. The way he avoided you. You didn't want to see it, I said. You were so wrapped up in playing the bride. You ignored every red flag flapping in your face. She swallowed hard. I think I was jealous. Of you. On the way he talked about his past life. I didn't know it was you, but I wanted to be the one he picked this time. I blinked at her. He didn't pick anyone, Talia. He ran. From both of us. Silence again. She sniffled. What happens now? I don't know, I said honestly. You tell me. She looked at me, eyes red and tired. Do you hate me? I don't even know if I have the energy to hate you, I said quietly. I've got a kid to raise. A job to keep. I've spent the last decade keeping my head down and surviving. This? All of this? I didn't need it. I didn't mean to ruin everything. I looked at her. You didn't ruin it. He did. But you let him. She winced. We sat there for another minute. Maybe 5. Neither of us had anything else to say. She finally stood, dropped a 20 on the table, even though we hadn't ordered, and turned to leave. Just before she stepped away, she paused. I miss you. I stared down at my coffee. When I looked up again, she was gone. I drove home slowly that night. The air was cool, windows cracked, and Benny was already in bed when I walked through the door. The house was quiet. Too quiet. I stood in the doorway to his room, watching his little chest rise and fall under his blanket. His mouth twitched a little in his sleep, like he was dreaming about something silly. Or maybe someone. I sat at the kitchen table and opened my laptop. There it was. Another email from Mason. Subject line, please. Nobody. No words. Just that one word in the subject. I didn't delete it. Not yet. But I didn't open it either. The next week was odd. People in town started acting weird around me. At the gas station, at the post office, people I'd known for years suddenly looked at me like they didn't know where to place me. Some whispered. Some asked questions. I heard your sister's wedding got canceled. Was it true about the kid? Is he really the dad? I wanted to scream. I wanted to shut it all down. But instead, I just smiled, nodded politely, and kept walking. Until one woman at the grocery store, the cashier at the self-checkout, leaned forward and whispered, "Good for you." That was all she said. But somehow, it made me want to cry. A few days later, Benny came home with a question. Mom, do I have to see him? I set down my dish towel. What do you mean? Dad. He keeps emailing my school account. I didn't answer, but I closed my eyes for a second. You don't have to do anything, Benny. Not until you're ready. What if I'm never ready? Then that's okay too. He nodded slowly, eyes fixed on the floor. Do you want to know more about him? I asked softly. I already know everything I need to. My heart clenched. God, I wish that wasn't true. Later that night, after he went to bed, I sat on the couch with a glass of wine and stared at my phone. Talia hadn't messaged again. Mason hadn't either. But I knew it wasn't over. People like Mason don't fade quietly into the background. They linger. They push. They come back when it's convenient for them. And Talia? Whether or not she meant to hurt me, she'd crossed a line I couldn't unsee. Something had shifted in me. I didn't know where it was all going yet. But I knew one thing for sure. Whatever happened next, I was ready. It was about 3 weeks after the wedding fallout when Mason sent me a proper email. Not a single word plea or a half-hearted apology. A full message, clearly written with the help of someone who probably coached him through how to look sincere in an apology after you've torched a family. He said he wanted to make things right. He said he wanted to co-parent. He said he wanted a second chance. And here's the thing, I believed that he believed it. But I'd spent too many years cleaning up his mess to be impressed by a few paragraphs and a signature. So I called my lawyer. Mason had never legally divorced me. That was the wildest part. He'd taken off, never filed, never checked in. He just vanished. So not only was his marriage to Talia void, he was still legally my husband. Gross, right? Well, here's where it starts getting good. Missouri law is clear about abandonment. After a certain period, if one spouse disappears and fails to support the other or their child, the deserted party can claim abandonment in divorce filings. It opens up doors. Financial doors. And Mason? Well, turns out his landscaping business had grown. Quite a bit. He now had contracts with 3 big commercial properties, a fleet of trucks, and a very flashy set of accounts. And I had 11 years of solo parenting receipts and a good attorney. I filed for divorce and claimed abandonment, seeking retroactive child support and a financial share of the business he built while still legally married to me. He tried to fight it at first. Tried to say he had no idea I'd be coming for his money. I just want to see my son, he said in meditation, all wide-eyed and full of fake regret. You should have thought about that before you disappeared, I told him calmly. Or before you tried to marry my sister. He paled. The mediator looked stunned. It got worse for him when the business audit came back. His accountant hadn't been careful. Mason had been skimming cash, underreporting income, and writing off personal vacations as work expenses. The IRS was thrilled. By the time the judge finalized the divorce, Mason owed me back child support, a settlement for abandonment, and penalties for failing to report assets during our initial hearings. He tried to appeal. He lost. He blamed me. I smiled. Talia tried to reach out again after the dust settled. She sent a basket of muffins to my office with a card that read, "We've both been hurt. Maybe we can heal together." I left the muffins in the break room and threw the card away. I didn't need a heart-to-heart with the woman who thought it was okay to steal my past just because she was bored of her present. Healing didn't mean forgetting. And it sure as hell didn't mean pretending. With the settlement money, I did something I'd always wanted to do. I bought a house. Nothing extravagant. Just a cozy 3-bedroom with a screened-in porch, a yard for Benny, and a garden I'd been dreaming about for years. I planted lilacs along the fence line and put wind chimes near the back door. It smelled like peace. Benny picked out his room. Painted it a dark blue. He got a desk by the window and a little bookshelf I filled with secondhand paperbacks and a brand new globe. We were finally building something of our own. Not a patch-up job. Not a survival bunker. A real home. Mason petitioned the court for visitation. Supervised. Once a month, pending review. I left it up to Benny. He said no. Maybe he'd change his mind later. Maybe not. But it was his choice now. And that felt like justice. The best revenge, I've learned, isn't destruction. It's not screaming in someone's face or throwing wine in their lap or torching their social life in front of mutual friends. It's becoming untouchable. It's healing so completely that the person who tried to break you can't even recognize you anymore. It's watching them fumble with the pieces of the mess they made. While you walk away, head high, heart intact, hands clean. I didn't ruin Mason's life. He did that all by himself. I just stopped protecting him from the consequences. Last week, I took Benny out for ice cream. We sat on the hood of my car, feet dangling, watching the sun dip below the horizon. He was licking his cone and talking about some science project at school, something about volcanoes and vinegar, and suddenly he looked at me and said, "Are we okay now?" I nodded. Yeah, we are. And for the first time in a long time, I meant it.